want to, and I suspect we're going to end up coming to a very similar answer on this, but I was listening to a debate um, on this very question,
Mm,
humanitarian yes or no, and the person that was arguing in favor of it was bringing up examples like Sierra Leone, like Cote d'Ivoire, and like the Yazidi,
mm,
where there was a very specific, it was very specific, it was very defined. It was A, with international support and UN
mm,
support. Uh, B, it wasn't about a general sort of democracy, but it was this president isn't stepping down after the election and he's turned the army on his people. So we're going to put an end to that. But this person is dedicating resources towards ethnic cleansing. So we're going to put a stop to that. And the specificity of it, the timeline of it, and the fact that it had UN support were listed as the reasons to have. Like if you have that checklist, then
yes.
humanitarian intervention is good. But if you don't, then it's bad.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, that sort of begs the question that the Libyan intervention was done in the Obama
In the
years.
yes.
You know what I mean? So even a 5-year-old is going to ask, in a post-Iraq world, how can you not consider the unintended consequences? And
Hmm.
to say that, oh, gee, we didn't consider the consequences in Libya, I almost don't buy that as an excuse. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, no
Yeah.
one after 2003 can use that as an excuse anymore because
Right.
we all saw unintended consequences spill out. And it's been, what, 18 years, and we're still
Hmm.
seeing unintended consequences.
Hmm.
So to say, golly gee, I didn't think about it is just, I'm not even hearing that as an excuse. And I suspect that if Barack Obama or Susan Rice or Samantha Power or Hillary Clinton were here, and I were to ask them, what was the plan to institute clean water throughout Libya and
Hmm.
Wi-Fi service and medical service and this, and like what was the civil service plan after the initial airstrikes in Libya? You know what I mean? Like you can't tell me, oh gee, you forgot. It almost makes me wonder, and maybe this is the cynical or conspiratorial side of me, but it makes me wonder, like, is that just a smokescreen for the military industrial complex to continue being the military industrial complex? You know what I mean? And as
Hmm.
you said, we're not investing in peace. We're investing in, like, we're doing airstrikes in Libya, and then it bleeds into Mali, and then we go, who could have seen that coming? That's
Hmm.
absolutely crazy. And then France is going to go, oh, I guess we'll have to go back to Mali and we'll have to be invested for another 10 years. And I guess we'll have to hand out $1 billion military contracts for another 50. Who could have seen this coming?
Like,
It
oh
is.
man, that just we have this thing that just came out of nowhere.
What are you like? No,
Yeah.
please. Like it's so, like, I'm just tired of that
Right.
narrative. And it
Right.
is like, am I a conspiracy theorist or am I just looking at reality?
I think you're looking at reality, right? And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And I think this begs the question then, right? Is which is a question that I think you and I have talked about, right? Should the UN itself just be an institution that does humanitarian aid rather
Yeah.
than humanitarian intervention?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if it does that, then what is the alternative to the reality that we do live in a world that is very militaristic, right? The
Yeah.
world in 2019 spent $1.9 trillion on militaries alone. That's just 1 year.
Mhm.
Trillion. So as a world, we are arming ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we do have people who will create mass atrocities for the sake of creating it. So what is the alternative?
Mhm.
And this is the question I ask myself all the time. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know, and it's a very difficult question. But what you're bringing up is that huge dichotomy. Is it just seems to me that they're so right with big decisions. This is the one of the biggest problems with the UN is that a lot of what the decision comes from, again, is from the Security Council, the permanent 5 members with veto
Yes.
power.
Yeah.
And if they are not okay, if they have some national interests, it means that they will use their veto power, and that means like we will see atrocities happen as we are seeing in China,
Yeah.
as we are seeing in many other parts of the world, right? Because where there's their own national interests, no one is going to move a bit. So it's not a conspiracy, because I think anyone who is invested or can see what we see, what we talk about, can see very clearly that this is a big issue. It's a big challenge to have 1.9 trillion dollars in military spending, while the US spends 10 times more than the other country, the next 10 countries combined on their
Yes.
military.
Yeah.
And we
Exactly.
wonder why are we getting wars, right? As we're saying, when the US did go to Iraq, not only did it create the spillovers into other countries, but we never ask where the weapons go, because most of the
Yes.
time they actually leave the weapons. They can't bring them back to the US, so they leave them
Oh,
in those
of
countries.
course. Of course.
And then we wonder, oh, why are people killing themselves? Well, you're giving them the weapons to kill themselves. What do you think is going to happen? So you're creating the problem to try and create the solution themselves. It seems to me like, hey,
Right.
somebody's making money off of this somewhere. And
Exactly.